Hey folks, welcome back. In this video, we'll be talking about Python for loop. So Python for loop is used for iterating over a sequence. So the sequence can be in the form of a list, tuple, set, dictionary, and string, and etc. So what are the iterable element? So we can able to iterate through it using for loop. Let's look at the simple example here. In this code, we have names. So we are iterating over the names here and printing the name. Let me copy this and try it on playground. Just copying this. So let's save it and run it. So here we can see that we got Anji, Shiva, John. Let's go through the code. So in the first line, we define the names, that is Anji, Shiva, and John. That's a list data type. And in the second line, we have for loop. So the for loop syntax. So for is a keyword, and then X is a variable name. So what are the we can use based on the context. So here we have the names. So for this case, we can use name for name in names. So we should also need to update that here. So this is a variable name, and after that we have the in keyword. So in keyword is generally used to get the each element from the iterable. So in this case, that is list. So in the third line, we have this tab space. So otherwise we'll get the index error. So let me just remove that and run it. So we can see that indentation error. Yeah, it should be indentation error, not index. So here we can see the indentation error. So if we give tab space here or two spaces, we can see that will be executed without the error. So this is the basic syntax for the for loop. So we can also iterate over any other sequences, kind of dictionary, set, etc. So let me just turn this to dictionary. Let's call it as address, and then remove this and update this with address. Line 1, 103 A, Golden Villa, and city Hyderabad. Okay, just hit over the line in address, or just and print the line. Here this and run it again. So here we can see that when we iterate over the dictionary, so we got only keys. That's because it just takes the keys from the dictionary. So if we want the values as well, we can simply access the value in the dictionary using dot get line. So line is a variable here. So for the first iteration, we'll get the line in line 1 in line variable, and for the second iteration, we will get the city. So whatever the code that is inside the for loop block can be executed n number of times based on the keys present in the whatever the iterator that we have here. So let's run it again. So here we can see that now we got the key as well as the value. So that's how we iterate over the dictionaries in for loop. So let's look at the next thing, that is break statement. So break statement is generally used to stop the iteration of the for loop. So let's say if we have 100 numbers, and at certain point of time, let's say if the number is 47, and then if we want to stop the loop, then we can simply use the break statement based on a condition. So let me copy this code and paste it here. So this is code. Whenever we find the number 7, it will stop the iteration of the loop. So let's look at the program first. So first we define the numbers, that is a list, and it contains the 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So we have a list of 10 numbers, and then we are iterating through each number. So it's a sequence, so it will take the first 1 2 3 4 and so on. So and in for loop block we have this code. So indentation must be there, otherwise it will throw the error. So here we can see that we have the current number, so we are printing the current number in line number 4, and 5 is empty, so it will be skipped. And line number 6, we have condition, that is if the number is equals to 7, and then we found the number 7 and breaking out of the loop. And so this will be a print statement, it will just print the output to the terminal. And then we have the break statement. So whenever we use the break keyword, So it will stop the complete execution of the for loop. So that's what happens. Let's comment out this block. I mean, line number 6 to 9, where we are, breaking the loop and execute it. Let me clear the terminal and run the program. So when we run it, so we can able to see all the numbers that are from 1 to 10. So if we use the break statement, whenever it finds the number 7, it will just simply break the condition. I mean the for loop. So let me uncomment this code and run it. I already have the so here we can see that found the number 7 breaking out of the loop. So let's say if we just want to break the loop whenever we find number 5, or let's go for number 4 and save it and run it again. So here we can clearly see that we only got till number 4, and then after that, whatever the sequence that we have, we are not iterating over it because we break the for loop. So that's all. Yeah, in print statement we have 7. That's because we didn't update the print statement. So let me clear this out and run it again. So that's what we can see. So that's how the break statement works. Let's go back to readme, and next we have continue statement. So previously we break the complete loop, but when we use continue statement, it will skip that particular iteration. Let's copy this same code from here to our playground and save it. So we'll have the break. Or let me just update this code break to continue. Uh, let's call it as keeping the number, and let's print the number. So here we can see that whenever we find the number 7, then we are skipping the that particular iteration. So let's run it in the same code. So for the first statement we have the list, and then in the third line number 3 we have the for loop syntax, and inside the for loop we have the for loop block of code that will be executed for the each iteration. So let's save it and let's run it. So here we can see that we skip the number 7. So for example, let's say we have this print statement in else condition. Let's so indentation is very important in the Python. So otherwise we will get the indentation error. So here we can see that in our program, so for loop iterates each number, that is 1 to 10. First for the first iteration it takes 1, and for the second iteration it takes 2. So after that, for the each iteration, so the number will be checked against 7. So the number is equals to 7, and then it will skip the iteration. It will skip the complete iteration. So otherwise it will print the continue. Otherwise it will print the line number 8. That is this. Let's say we have one more statement here. Print into 10. So what this statement will do is it will print the star 10 times. So let's run it. Let me clear the terminal first and then run it. So here we can clearly see that for the first iteration we got one current number. So let's take the example here. So for in this case number equals to 1, and we are comparing here number that is 1 equals to 7. It is false. So for the next statement that we have print statement and continue statement inside the if condition block. So whenever the condition is not satisfied, that whatever the code that is inside the if block won't be executed. So if the condition is not met, it will go to the else condition, that is line number 7. So in else we have print statement current number, and we are printing the current number. And in line number 10 outside of the else block, we have at line number 10 we are just printing the star. So when the code goes to the else condition, it prints the number here. So that's what the current number is, and then we are printing the line star 10 times. So that is this. So the first iteration completed till here. So when the second iteration will also be the same, and whenever we get the number 7, that is this, so it checks the number 7 against number 7. So whenever we get this number equals 7 equals to 7, that is true. So if true, so the whatever the code that is in else block, this won't be executed. So it goes to line number 5 and it prints the number, that is skipping the number, and we are printing the number. So that is this part. And then we have the continue statement. So continue, whenever we write the continue statement in for loop, so it will skip the next whatever the code that is below the continue statement, that will be skipped. So here we have at line number 10, so that is not inside the else block, so it should be executed unless we specify the continue statement here. So that's what happened here. We can see that we don't have any start statements after the print statement skipping the number. That's because whatever the code that we have after the continue statement, that is line number 9, and if we have extra code as well, then that won't be executed when we use the continue statement. So that's why whatever when we are printing the line number 10, we are printing the star 10 times, that is skipped. So that's how the continue statement works. So here we can clearly see that. And for the next iteration, after 7, we got 8. So here we are comparing against number 8. And when 8 is not equals to 7, 8 equals to 7, that is false. So whatever the if block will be skipped. And then we got the else condition. In else condition, we have this print statement, that is current number. We are printing the current number. And so we got outside of the loop, and whatever the next statement that we have, that should be executed. So in the next statement that we have is, we are printing the star 10 times. So we can see that first we print the current number, that is 8. After that we printed the stars 10 times. So that's how the continue statement works. Let's look at the range function. So range function in Python is used to generate the number sequence. So let me just copy this code from here to playground. So let's save it. I'll just hover on the range. So here we can see that range accepts 3 parameters, that is start, stop, and step. So start is the number, whatever the number we want to start, and stop is the last number that we want to generate. I mean 10 won't be executed, sorry, included. And the step is for the each iteration it increases the number by 2. Let's run the program first. Let me clear this out and run the code. So here we can see that 1 3 5 7 9, we got 9. So this is a stop number, so it won't be printed here. So let me remove the increment and run it again. So we got 1 to 9. So there is one more thing using a range function. If we didn't specify the initial number, so it will take 0 as an initial number. Let's execute the code again. So here we can see that it generated the number range from 0 to 9. So in total that is 10. So that's how the range statement works. So range generates an iterator, and iterator can be used in for loop to iterate, and it takes the each iteration, I mean each number from the iterator. So that's what we got here. So that's how we use range. And let's go to nested loops. So nested loops, when we have a loop inside another loop, that is called nested loops. Just like nested if else blocks, we can also have nested conditions. So whenever we have nested loops, so nested loop, if we have one loop another inside another loop, so for in this case, let's look at the code here. So in this case we have we are iterating 3 times for using the for loop, and inside that we have another for loop that iterates 2 times. So for each iteration, for the first for loop, so the next second for loop will be iterated 2 times. So 3 into 2, it will be executed 6 times. So let me copy this code from here to our playground. Let me remove this and save it and run it. So here we can see that we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it iterated 6 times. So let me explain you this. So for the first iteration, I value equals to, yeah, let me, I equals to 1. Yeah, okay, let me comment this out. So when we go to line number 2, we also have a for loop, which means it will be executed 2 times. That's because we have the range 2. It will generate two numbers, that is 0 and 1. So this for loop will be executed 2 times. That is, it generates two numbers. That is, in the for the first iteration, j value will be 0, and the for the second iteration, for the first iteration, j value will be 0, and for the second iteration, j equals to 1. So here we are in the next statement inside the loop, we are printing that I and j. Okay, let's look at the iterations here. If we take the first iteration, uh, first iteration, for this we have I equals to 1, and for the jth iteration, that is, let's consider this as e1. Let's consider it as j1. So for the second for loop, we have I equals to 1 and j equals to, sorry, for the first iteration, we have I equals to 0. That's because we didn't specify anything here. So I equals to 0 and j equals to 0. So we also have one more for the j. For the j2, we have values I equals to 0 and j equals to 1. So that is for first I1 iteration. Let's say I2, that is second iteration, for I2. So j1 and we have j2. So for the second iteration, a equals to 1, and for j1 iteration, j equals to 0, and for j2 iteration, j equals to 1. So inside each iteration, we have a print statement that we are printing. So in this case, I equals to 1 and j equals to 0. For the next iteration, I equals to 1 and j equals to 1. Similarly, we have third iteration, that is this. So here for the third iteration, I value is 2, and for the inside this loop, so each time when the code executes, it generates only 2, that is 0 and 1. So j equals to 0 and I value will be updated here, that is 2, and j for the first iteration, j value is 2, for the second iteration, j value is 1. So but the I value will be updated to 2. The same thing we got here, that is 0 0, that is this one 0 0, and 0 1, that is this one 0 1. And for the second iteration, that is this 1 0. So that we can see that that is 1 0, and for the second iteration, 1 1, that is 1 and 1. For the third iteration of I3, so I value is updated to 2. So that's what we can see here, that is 2 0 and 2 1. So that's how the nested loops works. So for the each iteration, it will be um, executed n number of times based on the conditions that we have. So that's how we use the nested for loops. Let's look at the simple Python programs. So we can use the for loop to write the programs as well. So this is the first question that we have. Print first 10 natural numbers. Let me write that here. Let's remove all the code. For I in range of 1 to 11, and print I. Okay. Let me clear this console and run it again. So here we can see that we got number 1 to number 10. That's because we are generating the sequence here using range function. So it generates from starting from 1 to 11. So 11 will be excluded. So that's why we didn't see the 11 here. And by default, it increments one by one. So that's the solution for the first problem. For the second problem, so we need to find the numbers divisible by 3 in a given list. So let's copy the list from here to playground. So let's call it as numbers, and then let's use a for loop for number in numbers. So now we have the number for each iteration. So first we need to find the whether the number is divisible divisible by 3 or not. So for that we need to use the if condition. If number a modulus 3 that is equals to 0. So what this statement gives us is, so it gives the reminder. So if we give 1 to the 1 percentile 3 or modulus 3, so if that gives the value as 0 and then the reminder is 0, it means it is completely divisible by 3. So this gets the true, and then we need to print the number, otherwise we just do nothing. Let's print and run the program. So here we can see that we got 6, 9 and 12. So these are the numbers that are divisible by 3. So let's look at the code one more time. So here we are iterating through the number sequence. So for each iteration we get number 1. So let's look at the number 1. Number 1 percentile 3 equals to 0. So that is false. How we can find it? Let's go to Python console, and number 1 percentile 3, so we got 1. So 1 is not equals to 0, that's why we didn't print the number. For the second iteration we get 5 percentile 3, that is 2. So 2 is not equals to 0, so that's why we didn't get the 5 as well. So for this third iteration we got 6, that is 6 percentile 3, that is 0. So 0 is equals to 0. So inside if block we have the print statement. So that's what we got here, 6 and then 9 and then 12. So 10 is not satisfied, so it just skipped. So that's how we solve the numbers divisible by 3 problem. So let's look at the other, that is printing the first 10 Fibonacci numbers. So the first two Fibonacci numbers are 0 and 1. So when we add these two we get the next number. So after that, when we add the resulted number in the previous number, we get the next number. So that is what here we can see that 0, 1, 0 plus 1, 1, that is the next number. And the next two numbers are 1 and 1. When we add up these two numbers, we get 2. And 1 plus 2, that is 3, that is the next. So this way we can generate the Fibonacci sequence. So the question is print the first 10 Fibonacci numbers. So we need to print the first Fibonacci number. We can use the for loop to print the first 10 Fibonacci numbers. Let's go to playground and remove this code. Define number 1 equals to 0 and number 2 equals to 1. So these are the first two Fibonacci numbers. So we need 10 Fibonacci numbers. So we need to iterate over 10 times. So for that we can use a range function in Python. So let's define the for loop first. For I in range of 10. So it will run for 10 times. Now we need to generate the, first we need to print the number, that is Fibonacci number. Let's print that one, number 1. And now we need to we need to generate the next Fibonacci number. So let's do that. Temp equals to number 1. So we are storing the number 1 in temp variable. We are updating the number 1 equals to number 1 plus no, we need to update the number 2. Number 2 equals to number 1 equals to number 2. That's because for the next iteration number 2 becomes the number 1, and number 2 equals to temp plus number 1. So the next number is temp plus number 1, that is number 1 plus number 2. So in temp we have number 1, and that is 0, and for the next we have number 1. that is number 2. So let's run this program and see whether we get the desired result or not. Playground. Okay, looks like we didn't save it. Let's run it. Oops, looks like we are not running the proper Python file. So Python for loop and then playground. So here we can see that we got 0, 1 and then 1. Okay. So 0 plus 1, 1, that is next one. And then if we see 1 plus 1, 2, that is this one, the next result. 1 plus 2, 3, that is next result. And 2 plus 3, 5, that is next result. And 3 plus 5, that is 8, that is the next number. And 5 plus 8, that is 13, the next number. And 8 plus 13, that is 21, the next number. And 13 plus 21, that is 34. That is the next number in, that is the last number in Fibonacci series. So we printed all 10 numbers here. So that's how we use the for loop to generate the Fibonacci series. So we just need to use the simple logic to print the numbers using for loop. So for loop, it just does is iterates the sequence. So we just need to do the what are the operations that are required for in order to solve the problem. Let's look at the next program, that is print the following pattern. So in order to print this pattern, we will be using two for loops, that is nested loops. Let's try to do that for I in range of. So in order to generate, that is we want 1 to 5. So that is 1, we want 5. So we can use 1 to 6. So we are starting from 1 until 6. So 6 will be excluded. So that gets us 5. And then for next iteration, for j in range of I. So for the first iteration, we get the number from the I. So in here, so the j will be iterated I times. So here we can clearly see that 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, and 5 times. So for this, here we are generating the same. So let's do that for j in range of I and print j and save it. Let's clear the console and run it. So here we can see that 0, 0, 0, 0. So that's because we are not starting with the I. So what we can do, that we can simply do this j plus 1. So here we get 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got that, but that is not looks like what are the pattern that we have here. So in order to do that, we need to use the strings and we need to update that with the line. So let's define the line here. Line equals to empty string, and then we don't print it here. So what we will do is we will just update that string with whatever the number that we get here. So for the first iteration, what we will do, line equals to line plus string format of, we need to convert the type, so that's because here we get the j value as integer value, so we need to convert that in order to do the concatenation operation. So string line equals to line plus string of j, plus we need to add space here, otherwise the all strings will be without space. Let's try this first, and in the next iteration we'll just update that back. So let's do the print here line and run the program. Let me clear this out and then run it. So here we can see that 0, 0, 1 and all this. That's because again here we are not adding 1 to j. So here we can see that 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's what. So if we run, so we updated that to j plus 1 and run the program again. So here we can see that 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is same as this pattern here, but we didn't have spaces between the numbers. So in order to get that space, here we need to add space as well. Let's run it again. So here we can clearly see that now 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just same as the what are the pattern that are defined in here. So that's how we use two for loops to generate the pattern using Python. So we just need to use the for loop and what are the previous concepts that we learned so far. That is variables and string concatenation and type conversion and what are the concepts that are required for the that are required to solve this problem. So yeah, that's how we use the for loops to solve the problems. So we almost covered most of the types that are used in for loops. So if you like this video, please do hit the like button and share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.